Greetings, greetings, greetings. You're now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, not to control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault episode, end of the year checklist for trustees. Definitely very thankful to be, doing a live episode. A lot of people have been asking for these episodes, so we're back. We're live. We're doing episodes. Still periodically, just all you got to do is click the notifications so you can actually get the live stream episodes. You can participate in the live. Definitely feel free to shout out where you listening live from in the chat, even and on the replay. Just type into the chat right now where you're actually listening live, listening to replay from. We have people listening from all over the world. We always appreciate it and just appreciate the listening audience. So, this is the end of the year checklist for trustees. A lot of, people are kind of left in the dark. Everybody says they have a trust. Oh, I got a trust. You got a trust, but you don't have an end of the year meeting with the so called fiduciaries of the trust, though. Are you a fiduciary of the trust? So that's the conversation that we're going to have today, very briefly here, which is basically, first of all, having a meeting, having a trust meeting at the end of the year instead of just going on vacation. You went on vacation before we assigned the bonuses. How we gonna know what the trustees bonus is and we didn't even do an end of the year calculation? Will we still doing business at the end of the year on the 24th, 25th day for anyways? Which y'all still doing business for? Oh, so yeah, you doing business. Well, when you gonna close the books for the year? What date? So let's talk about that in this meeting here. End of the year checklist for trustees looks like what we're talking about is, are we even gonna have a meeting before the end of the year about the first 3 quarters this year, about what happened this year? Are we gonna look at the books for the first 11 months this year? Are we gonna look at that? So a lot of families have gone through trustee training and they're like, oh, it's the end of the year. We don't know if we're going to have a meeting. Well, first of all, if you're a legitimate trustee, you're one that's acting in good standing, you're definitely having a meeting at the end of the year. It's not a, oh, well, should we have a meeting, Trust Christian? No, yeah. Once again, you have probably 4 meetings a year, maybe 12 because you're meeting every month. So once again, you're having a meeting before the end of the year. It's not, oh, well, Trust Christian, yeah, well, even if you did it on the last day of the year, on the 31st, like, hey, you know what? Our family's going to be together previously that day, or maybe even a new year. So we're going to sit down and have a end of the year uh, meeting once again, meeting, and we're going to go over various different things. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. What are we discussing in these meetings? More on a nuanced level, not on, anybody can read a corporate, how to conduct a corporate meeting, how to, you can read any book on how to have a trust meeting. You can read those books, but a lot of it is going to come from the experience from like us at the vault, working with trustees throughout the years. What are some of the things that you hear? What are some of the things that you got to start discussing in these meetings? And how to conduct them. So, end of the year meeting, we're actually going to go through this as an example of us going through a meeting that we've had recently, and just really just address what we talk about in these meetings, how they look, and things of that nature, how they sound, and go forward from there. So, once again, we've scheduled the meeting. A lot of mentors would say you need to schedule out the meeting 10 days in advance and send an agenda. That's just the bottom line. So, some of y'all right now, it's already less than 10 days, so you're not going to be able to send out an agenda. But should you send out an agenda before the meeting? Yes, you should. So, you're sending out an agenda to the meeting. The agenda should state what time we're going to meet, the name of the entity. It should name some of the reasons why we're meeting, and base the basics. We're putting down an agenda, very, very important. A lot of people wonder, should they go into meetings with a preconceived, pre-planned meeting? And yes, it is appropriate to go on with a plan to keep and actually put times to it too. A lot of people ask, should we have times to the actual meeting? Yes, we should at all times. So we'll have, hey, we're gonna get on. We're gonna come on and say hello. We're gonna have a few minutes of tea and cookies, and then next thing you know, we're going into people and their responsibilities, blah blah, whatever it is. So we're just gonna continue keeping it moving. Where we got the time set, we got the agenda set, we even got the parties that are supposed to be there. What we're gonna be talking about. So we get to the meeting, and now we're here. We would like to say there's no penalty for being late, but some families may put say, hey, look, they're trying to bring in second and third gen, but the second and third gen hasn't had certain standards, and maybe they have, but if they show up late, they understand there's a penalty to the family. So some families put that in place because they want to make sure that the family understands that it's never really an excuse time, but we work with you, but this is business. This isn't just casually show up and still feel like there's no consequence. So there's something that could be in place that says, hey, we're going to have a fee if you show up late. Once again, the family members show up on time, they show up within reasonable time, and we get to, people get into the agenda. Someone, you may have a secretary for the meeting. Traditionally, you're going to have a secretary for the family estate meeting. And so this is where we get to a lot of people, hey, sitting on the line this past week. Oh man, I got to trust. Yeah, you got to trust, but you're not running the family meeting. Where's your lawyer in the meeting? Your lawyer is the person that's supposed to be sitting there talking to. Where's your accountant in the meeting at the end of the year? Or are you already taking your setting your sales, but you about to get hit with a tax hit and you ain't planning out the meeting? The leader, the first gen, has to plan out the meeting. They're the first gen. If they don't get that, then you're gonna sink. It's not trust. Is not for you. Everybody wants to sit here and say they gotta trust, but then who's planning out the meeting? The lawyer's supposed to plan out the meeting for you? No. Is the accountant supposed to plan out the meeting for you? No. You're supposed to plan out the meeting and have the accountants that you want to be on your team this year or this past or moving forward. They're supposed to be sitting in the meeting so they can say that you got a tax plan and a tax strategy. Oh no, Judge Christian, that's a lot of work. Ain't nobody doing that at the end of the year. No, you're not doing that at the end of the year. But just know it's getting done by elite families. Now, you can either say, look, oh, I'm not going to do it, or you're going to join the club with the rest of us. You're going to have the meeting going over the numbers, going over the projects that we've done, going over our successes, going over our failures, going over every individual doing a personality assessment update. We're going to make it a point to make sure people are inside doing tests to see where their skill set is at, things of that nature. So we're going to keep it moving. So we're in the meeting. We have a secretary. We have roles identified. Some people may be a double secretary, may have two secretaries in the meeting, may have AI, may have a recorder, may have many different tools to help you record the meeting properly. Okay, so you record the meeting properly. Let's continue moving forward. As you record the meeting properly, we're into the agenda. What are we talking about here? There's many things that we could talk about, in the meeting per the agenda. It could be, where is property at? We could talk about the life cycle of the entity. We could talk about everyone's role and are we clear on our roles inside? Are we adding more expectations and responsibilities, or are we taking away some because expectations haven't been met? It could be financial expectations, it could be duty expectations, but these are things where people have signed, quote unquote, sealed and delivered that they are going to do those things that they say here. This is their proclamation or their oath to the trust as a trustee that they're executing. So that is the case. Uh, that is the case. Um, Everybody, gotta take this real quick. Hey Ben, hey Ben, you there? I'm doing excellent. Can you give me like 20 or 30 minutes? I was in the middle of something, but I at least wanted to acknowledge you. It was something I was doing that's important, but I still wanted to acknowledge you as well. Uh, just give me like 20 because I want to answer that improper, and I'm not in a place where I want to give you that. Just give me so a few minutes here because I'm not in a place to answer that question where I want to answer. Okay, we'll do. All right. See everybody. When you get into a certain position in life, even in this situation, you become the trustee for other families, and us doing this here is for other families, and then you have another family situation come up that you still have to acknowledge and say, hey, I'm here just I'm dealing with something, because communication is important when you are in a family estate and you do want to communicate things to people in a timely manner. And so back to the episode. So let's just say you get into a situation where you guys are in the meeting, and once again, you're bringing up property, you're bringing up bonuses, you're bringing up roles, responsibilities, and duties. A lot of individuals will say, "Hey, Christian, give us a good trust, Christian, give us a good resource on the whole situation here that could help us manage the situation right." And we're just gonna go ahead and flat out give it. We give it to our trustees, but we're gonna give it to you all. It's basically called the Rockefeller habits. A lot of people are going to find it challenging at times to implement these strategies because they're very vigorous and very stringent, Whereas if you adopt these principles and thought processes, obviously you can see how the Rockefellers have built their state. So, Vern Harnish, with that book, shout out to him. When it comes to you're talking about management, you're talking about now. Uh, you're talking about the Rockefeller habits, making sure your habits are great within side of the estate, making sure you're managing things properly, and things of that nature. So let's continue. So you got some habits in place. Everyone's going to end up creating their own structure, quote unquote, inside, and that's why we have these conversations with the families, because you got to create your own structure. When are you gonna have a meeting? Where are you gonna have a meeting? What are the penalties? What are your roles? What are your responsibilities? What are your duties? Um, and then just making sure that there's a quality system in place, ladies and gentlemen, a quality system of processes and procedures. We do have some resources we share with families when they're in family trustee training, that they want to implore with their family when it comes to these things, because if anything, every family that's gone through the training that's like, hey, I'm an old trustee, I'm listening to this, you want to go back to the base books that we recommended from the beginning, even the one with Ray that we mentioned already on this particular episode. But you want to go back for sure and listen to you go back and read the books that we previously talked about in trustee training on an individual basis with the families, and making sure you're going back through your studies, going back through your notes. A lot of people say, oh, where do I go? I go back to my notes. That's where you go back to your notes. You go back to your notes with the calls. You go back to the videos that you have recorded with Trust Christian in the vault on the private side with your family estate. That's what you do. And then you can build upon that, because you got the Black's Law Dictionary, you got the family estate contracts in place. Okay, where do you go from there? You go from running it as a quote unquote business, running the family estate as a business. It's just that simple. Some people say, "Oh, I don't have a business background. I'm not a business person. I'm an employee." That's the disadvantage. Is not having the initiative and the business mentality. It's taking responsibility. So, okay, let's just say you're in that position and you move into a position of, hey, we're going to start developing some business acumen. What book should we do then? You got to go to the E Myth, the Entrepreneur's Myth. You got to go to the E Myth and get that by Michael Gerber, because it's so vitally important to learn business skills and understanding. We were thinking about that going into the next year. Ladies, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people don't want to take it as like, okay, how did you do over the past 4 quarters? Okay, it's been 4 quarters. That ain't the end of your life. It's only 4 quarters. So you got to make sure that you got the next quarter is going to be a great quarter. How do you make sure? You got to look at the last 4 quarters and say, what was our performance? What was our output? And see what we can do to become more efficient and more effective. And this is the thing, so many are like, oh, this is a process. You're right. You got to put a system in place. Just like you went through the public school system, just like they got a private school system, just there's a system. The universe is a system. So because it's a system, you got to put a system in place. And once you put that system in place, then you know why the Rockefellers have been able to last so long. It's because they have a system in place. It's not predicated off one person. It's a system. It's a function. It's an institution. That's what you're putting in place when you talk about you got to trust. Oh, I got to trust, man. No, you're putting an institution in place. You're putting a system in place. But oh no, I don't know if I should have a will or a trust Christian in the vault. Is it a will or a trust? Do I even still need a will if I got a trust? Think about how many people out here got wills and trust. Talking about they got a trust. Do they have a trust? Why do you need a will if you got a trust? Oh, because the public people, they got me in the public living trust. Exactly. Now let's think about this. Who's the trustee of the trust? Is it you? Is it the lawyer? Is it the accountant? Who's the trustee of the trust? That's what we asking here. Do you know who that is? So many try to say, "Oh, trust Christian involved." I gotta trust. You get on the line, they get on the line. I gotta trust. You gotta trust. But who's the trustee? Who's the beneficiary? Or were you just sold a trust? Oh no, don't make me seem like I'm ignorant and I don't know this stuff. I'm just going along with what my attorney said. I'm just going along with what the accountant said, right? So they work for you or you work for them. That's where we are in the marketplace. We always work with trustees on the basis of the lawyers and the accountants work for the family estate. So they have a fiduciary obligation or some type of obligation to answer in a professional capacity. But you're the leader. How long should these meetings last? Most people are going to tap out probably around an hour, but it just depends on the bookkeeping, depends on how big the books is. Some family estates might do multiple sessions. Just going over the numbers, talking about acquisitions, talking about selling of assets, things of that nature. You have a very granular, hey, maybe getting into the weeds, maybe getting into the numbers, but at the same time, you still can be fairly macro. You can have basically the family estate be summarized through some form of summarization. It doesn't have to be every move we made via the meeting minutes, but you can take every meeting minute that's previous from that year and set them in a meeting, or you could take a summary of those meeting minutes and have those meeting minutes and go over those meeting minutes, or once again have those in the conversation with the meeting minutes agenda, going over a summary of what are some of the things that we were able to cover and execute on throughout the year. And then, after you get past what you did over the previous 12 months or 11 months, we get into what we're doing going forward into the next 12 months or even the next 30 days or the next 90 days or the next 12 months. And you get into that. You get into going forward on a forward looking basis. Sometimes this can be challenging for some people depending on the age of the trustees. We've had trustees come through, they've been 19, 20 years old. So, people want to talk about your prefrontal cortex being developed. You obviously got some people that are thinking early on in life that they want to preserve their family estate and build out some wealth for their family and preserve their family wealth. So maybe they are more developed at that age, a few of them. And so we're happy to see that. But at the end of the day, it does require some forward planning. And so, a lot of trustees are going to come out here and they say, "Oh, I wonder what's Trust Christian's secret weapon. How did he become such a big trustee and a great trustee?" We're going to give y'all the secret weapon because everybody wants the secret weapon. They want a secret weapon instead of using the weapons that's at their disposal. The secret weapon is finding a mentor and building a relationship. And that's just the bottom line. Now, many not going to follow that philosophy because they went through public school, and public school trained you not to have a mentor. It trained you to pass a test. You think everything's tested. We remember we used to beat our mentor over the head about that question. And he would say to us, "Trust Christian, all you got to do is just manage it like it's a public trust. That means people could look at the books." Right. Mentor then told us stories. "Oh yeah, I paid somebody $1 million before to leave me alone." Oh, you don't want to hear that though. These could be horror stories for some people, but at the end of the day, he's still living, driving around, living well, eating well, you know, to his standards, and a very great mentor who has written materials, who has provided resources and relationships, capital with, helped families preserve their wealth with. That comes from a relationship with somebody that actually has done what you done and is in the rooms that you want. We think about this. We think about it. We'll be like, we'll come to some trustees. "Hey, look, trustee, we know you're not gonna go to the conference, but if you pay, you can sponsor us to go to the conference." "Oh no, I'm gonna hold my shekels." You're not spending $2,500 or $3,000 to go to a conference. You're not spending $5,000 to go to a conference, and y'all don't even want to know. That means you're at a regular hotel room. You're not in the presidential suite for a few $1,000s. You're not in the presidential suite. So just because you're going to a conference to meet with other high net worth individuals and wealthy individuals, oh, I want to be in the private sector. Where am I going to meet these people? I wonder how am I going to meet these people? It's going to cost you thousands of dollars. And oh no, no, but I don't know if I have a few shekels to get the recordings. But y'all don't want to know. We got trustees that'll spend $10,000 on a pair of boots. Y'all don't want to know that, huh? Oh man, wealthy people got their priorities messed up. Hey, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not wealthy then, because it's a mindset. There's an action that comes with it. Yeah, you didn't go to the conference, but are you going to get the information in the relationships based off of that? Oh no, I'm covered in my this, that, and the third. Think about it. If the private information is so valuable, that's what you should be paying for all the time. That's why we still go into wealthy rooms. Is because we understand that the information in a relationship are the most valuable things. You sure you could always need the money or have the money, but if you have the relationships and you have the education, and you understand where wealthy people are putting their money at, you understand where other wealthy people are looking to partner up with people, you can get in alignment instead of being out of alignment. But so many people are left in the dust because, oh, I didn't know where the wealthy environment was. But then once you have access to some access educational portal like the Vault, it's, oh man, I'm hitting the studies. Now you got to do what? You got to invest in your education. You got to get those. Oh man, I got to spend $100 for a meeting. What? We used to travel across the country to meet with our mentors. Still do. Travel across the country, go specifically and meet with them at least once or twice a year, especially if you're traveling, making it a point to go out your way to go meet with them. So if you don't meet with them in person, do you meet with them over the phone, telephonically? How do you meet with them? Do you have that in front of you? Oh no, trust Christian. I don't know how to find a good mentor. These guys are out here charging, man. Everybody's charging. You think our mentor wasn't? He the one that said, if you show up to the meeting and you don't have your wallet to pay for the meal, I'll never meet with you again. Clearly, we have relationships that they were financial in nature. It's not, oh man, I'm getting the free gems. I'm getting the free codes here. That's not how it was. Where is this false expectation of, oh man, I'm just supposed to get the information for free? That's public school. That's second rate information. That's controlled information. That's not free mind information. Free mind information, we're paying to be in the watering well together because we're coming up with new ideas. People are bringing new things to the table. We're not just talking about the same thing. We're having people bring value to the table. Oh no, really? Y'all got something that much valuable to talk about every single time? All the time y'all meet like once a quarter, man. Every other month y'all got something going on. Well, there's watering holes. There's educational watering holes. Oh man, it's supposed to. Think about this. Think about the fallacy you may have, and you gotta correct it. Well, it's the internet. I could do YouTube University. Yeah, the Vault is YouTube University, but the Vault has a private training session. You still have to enroll in a trustee training. You still have to get a one-on-one consultation. It's not, oh man, he's going to share all my information because I need everybody. I need to know that everybody has the same situation. Everybody doesn't have the same situation. But oh no, I wanted to be cookie cutter. I just like the rest of these guys. I gotta trust. I gotta trust. Somebody told me I gotta trust. I bought a trust. I don't even know what a grantor is. I don't even know what the trustee is. I think I'm the beneficiary. What that mean? You the beneficial owner? Right. So we can have these conversations at the Vault, and we do. And we enjoy having those conversations with families and individuals because we get to educate them and share with them the value of having a formalization to the estate and taking what obviously we don't want to say take ownership, but at least take responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the real deal. One of the mentors, he said, 90% of people I sold a trust and foundation to, they didn't even need it. And it's like, wow. And the reason why he says because they didn't put a system in place to perpetuate the wealth, and because they didn't do that, they didn't have the end in mind. Like a few things, he was like, yeah, they pretty much their stuff's not around anymore. Like it's in an estate, but no one's growing the estate. It's not invested at Harvard. It's not invested in hospitals all the time. It's just they just like the rest of them. Oh yeah, I try to do this for a break with my liabilities and taxes and stuff. Short term thinking, not generational wealth thinking, but they swear out as generational wealth. So what you get is the people that generate a significant amount of money, and they will get into entities, and they take it a little bit more serious because they are really trying to hold on a substantial amount of money. So how's the conversation going to be at your dinner table? How's the conversation going to be at the end of the year meeting? Are you even going to have one? Some people take this as a joke. That's how you know their family estate is a joke. That's why the mentor said 90% of them he shouldn't even sold it to them. Cause they a joke. It's a joke. It's funny. It's not serious. It's not. We have to do this. It's we'll do it next year. We'll do it on the second. Y'all can get drunk on the 31st, and then wake up. You can be drunk or hungover all day, and then we'll get to it on the next day on the second, right? Because if it's not that mentality, then families that have systems put in place for previous generations, they don't just move the date because the younger or the next generation says, "Oh yeah, well we want to get drunk this time," and change the tradition. It doesn't work that way. You have protectors in the room. See, people don't think about multi generation; they think about themselves. This is why the mentors we were actually really happy. A lot of people a lot of people, it's more of a mindset shift than it is the amount of money or the money that they generate. Because the money that you're generating, if you were able to save more, you probably could do more. But it's the mindset with the money, and the mindset of what they doing with the money. Where are they investing in their money? We got people sitting around still think they could sell us on these crypto. You can get interest, compound interest every day things. They still talking about this stuff in 2025. Like all these companies ain't blown up. Billion-dollar companies ain't blown up, still talking about, oh yeah, you can get compound interest every day. It's because that is the ignorance that's spewed out on the internet because it's free. But when it comes down to formalization of the family estate, oh, this is real structure here. Exactly. This is real formal conversation here. Exactly. It's a real formal conversation now. We gotta have risk management skills. We got somebody in the room that understands risk management. We gotta be studying risk management. Oh no, I don't want to study risk management, trust Christian involved. Do you have someone in the room that knows that though? We're here, ladies and gentlemen. We've done consultations for years. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. But we know what time it is. There's been a bunch of people that are in the marketplace and they're like, oh, I want to protect my family estate. Well, if you want to protect your family estate, you got to be in a position of, all right, I'm looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the meetings, I'm looking at what we're doing here, and you're treating it as if it's a business. Think about it. How many people I have a trust? They personal. It's not business. Y'all know it's trust. He's just the trust. But oh no no. I have a trust. Yeah, I got a trust. I have a trust. That's all they love saying it. It's like having a new car. It's like a shiny object. But what happened to, oh man, I, I I'm a trustee of a family estate because it's the mindset. That's what it is. Peace and joy.